Alright, let's talk about the new Bone Barrier. They completely gutted this skill and completely removed bone armor. Like, that's just gone now. So normally we'd have this, and you'd get quite a bit of defense out of it. 70% of damage from hits taken from this buff before your life or energy shield. That's gone. But what they've done now is minions have 40% of life added as extra energy shield, and 1% of damage dealt by your minions is leeched to you as life. So it's similar to the Baron, and should stack with it. So the Baron, you get, obviously you get the levels to your minions and all that, but you get increased life, and then half of your strength is added to your minions. +1 a maximum number of zombies per 500 strength. And if you have at least 1,000 strength, you get 1.5 to 2% of damage dealt by your zombies leeched to you as life. So if that's correct, it should be 3% leech back to you. And that could be quite a bit when you have enough damage output and enough zombies, which should be a lot of sustain. But then you could take it even further, and you can get something like, say, Ghost Reaver. And now all Life Leech applies to Energy Leech. So you leech Energy Shield instead of life. And yeah, leech Energy Shield instead of life. Maximum total Energy Shield recovery per second from leech is doubled. Cannot recharge Energy Shield. But that should not be a problem. You should constantly have completely full Energy Shield. And then if you want, you can go with something like Joffrey's Crest. And since you're not going to be recharging Energy Shield, this is pretty much perfect for it. And this, you get some resistances, some max life, some Energy Shield and all that. And then you get +2 maximum Energy Shield for every 5 strength. Since you're going to be stacking strength for the Baron to get your 1,000, that works out perfectly. You get a big chunk of Energy Shield from that. And more max life, so you know that never hurts. And then you can also get something like Shapers. And with this, you get quite a few different stats. So you get 4 accuracy rating per 2 int, which you're going to get a little bit of. +1 life per 4 dexterity, +1 mana per 4 strength. So you're going to get a good chunk of mana. 1% increased energy shield per 10 strength, a lot more energy shield. 2% increased evasion per 10 intelligence, 2% increased melee physical per 10 dex. And you might think, oh, I'm a witch, I'm not going to be using any melee physical damage. We'll get to that in a bit. Then you move on over here, you can get some more energy shield with, you know, discipline and all that stuff, right? And then what do we got here? The Iron Fortress. So if you didn't want to go Joffrey's Crest and you wanted to go full-on strength stacker, you could go with the Iron Fortress. With that, you get 1% block chance, or 1% chance to block attack damage per 50 strength, which is decent. Chance to block spell damage is unlucky, not so good, but you can get spell suppression. A good chunk of strength. Armor, you do get some reduced movement speed. And then you get strength's damage bonus, instead grants 3% increased melee physical damage per 10 strength. You get the Ironwell Keystone, and you get strength's damage bonus applies to all spell damage as well. So all this strength that you're just stacking up for your Baron and all that, right? And every other stat, all that strength is going to go right into your spell damage. So you can actually cast spells and do a decent amount of damage. And then if you didn't want to go that route, or you just wanted to do it this way, you can get the Brutus Lead Sprinkler. And with this, it doesn't have a whole lot of damage when you get it. But when you stack the strength, it adds 4 to 7 fire damage to attacks with this weapon per 10 strength. So you get that bonus damage for every 10 strength. And what was the other one here? And then you get the bonus damage here from the Iron Fortress. Those two go together pretty well. And if you decide that you don't want to use that for this build, you can always use it in a different strength stacker build. Moving on, you get the Magnate, which will give you a bunch of different stats, a good chunk of strength, good resistances, And then you get 10% chance to deal double damage while you have at least 200 strength, and 5% chance to deal triple damage while you have at least 400 strength. Since you're aiming for 1,000 strength, this is no problem. Hopefully you still get it without the belt, but this should be no problem. An alternative item to go with would also be Mata's Teaching. And with this, minions' base attack critical strike chance is equal to the critical strike chance of your main hand weapon. And where is it here? 25 to 50% critical strike chance, which is decent. And then you also get some bonus levels to your minion skill gems. And you can use some harvesting enchants on it and up the critical strike chance even higher. So you can get a high crit on your minions, so they do a lot more damage, and you'll be leeching a lot more life for energy shield. You can also get Montragle's Grasp, which reduces the maximum number of zombies you have, but it also gives them 5,000 to maximum life. And with the Bone Barrier, they're going to be getting 40% of their life added as extra energy shield, so those zombies should never die. Plus the discipline and all that. You also get more resistances for your zombies, so you don't have to worry about capping resistance so much on it. 25% increased size, so I guess they stand out more. And then enemies killed by zombies hits explode, dealing 50% of their life as fire damage. Raised zombies deal 100 to 125% more physical damage. So this should really up the clear speed quite a bit, especially if you have the Mata's Teaching and you're just hitting crit after crit. It should be no problem at all. And then on top of that, well, the damage of this is kind of shit, and this isn't the greatest. So this will be just strictly for the zombie build, and if you decide to go with the lead sprinkler, you got to remember you also get increases and reductions to minion damage also affect you if you get spiritual aid. And I believe if you maxed it all out, you can get something like 800% increased damage. You top that with over 1,000 strength and where's it? Lead sprinkler, which is 4 to 7 fire damage per 10 strength. That's a good chunk. And then Iron Fortress, strength damage bonus instead grants 3% increased melee physical. This stacks with Iron Will, I believe, right? Yeah, and Iron Will. So you get a whole bunch more spell damage, and then you get. Moving over here, you get Lethal Pride, so that you can get more strength to get closer to your 1,000. Alright, so if we're stacking up all of our strength for the Baron, and we're going the Iron Fortress route, you can actually put out quite a bit of damage yourself. So the strength damage bonus applies to all spell damage as well. And if you go with something like Rolling Magma, okay, Rolling Magma, spell AoE fire projectile chaining. So you get fire, projectile, and spell. And you go Iron Will, strength damage bonus applies to all spell damage as well. So that's all spell damage. Then you take Iron Grip. Strength damage bonus applies to projectile damage as well as melee damage. So you're getting the bonus for both the spell and the projectile on this spell, which is going to pump out a ton of damage. Blazing Salvo, you also get spell, AoE, fire, and projectile. You get that at level 12. Alright, so I'm doing a quick update before I put the final video out here. I left a bunch of things out, and I didn't have time to get them all in the video, so I'm doing it now. So you do get Blazing Salvo at level 12, which you can level with, and you get that as a witch at basically the end of Act 1, right? You can't use this with the Sacred Wisps, unfortunately. So Blazing Salvo, you get at level 12, and unfortunately you can't use it directly with Sacred Wisps, because it's a support gem that supports wand attacks, and you're not going to summon your wisps with Blazing Salvo. It's not a wand attack, right? It's a spell, AoE, fire, projectile. So in order to get that to work, you're going to need something like the Poet's Pen, which will trigger a socketed spell when you attack. Alternatively, there is a enchant for it, and neither one of these things you're going to get right off the bat in the start of the league, so this will be something later on for going that route. But I would recommend leveling with Rolling Magma for now, or alternatively, the better solution probably for early leveling would be Absolution, and then moving on to trying to get yourself a Transfigured Gem, Absolution of Inspiring, because you get a better version of Spiritual Aid with this. So increases and reductions to minion damage also apply to this skill's damage at 200% of their value. So that's going to be huge for this build, leveling up early on. And that's going to probably end up being my league starter, or one of my league starters. I will probably be leveling up with Absolution and Rolling Magma with zombies, and working my way up towards the Baron. And if that doesn't pan out for the Witch, I can always switch the build up, and all the gear that I've got will work on a strength stacker for another class. So it's a win-win, really. And this should be pretty easy clear to get through the campaign, I would imagine. Also, in the video, I had my camera kind of covering up some of the gems and items. Mistake on my half. I'll do my future videos on the left side. I will include all the links to all the gems and items and whatnot in the description of the video. If anyone has any questions, comments, any input, just, drop it in the comments. See you guys at League Start.